guys, remember how I said I was married to Jeylin? Well, Jeylin does not exist. In actual fact, Jeylin is actually a person I did meet at a bar. We did not get married. I just met her there briefly. She was really gorgeous, but we never married. The reason why I brought up the fact that I was married to Jeylin is because I am actually bi. I've dated both men and women. I've had acts with both men and women. The reason why I mentioned Jeylin in the first place, and not necessarily her, because I could have mentioned anybody, but the reason why I mentioned Jeylin and said that I was married was because I've had so many people, I'm not sure if this has happened to you guys, but I've had so many people that if I say I'm single, which I am single, I date both guys and girls, I am single, I'm open to both guys and girls. But the reason why I said I was married was because I've had people be so forceful, and I don't, it's never been that bad. Like no one's ever been really forceful, like to the extreme. But I just, if I say I'm single, I find people are just so like, they just feel like they own me, and they feel like they basically are like, well, you're not dating anyone, why aren't you dating me? And then they would just stay there for so long, and they would be like, I'd be like, okay, like I'm not interested, right? Like you're not my type, right? So I found that that would happen, right? Like when I was saying I was single, I would find that people would just stay there, and they would just expect me to go out with them, and well, I'm like, I have a choice, right? Or I can choose who I want to date, right? That's the only reason why I said I was married. Jeylin is a real person, but we never married. She was really nice. We met at a club. She is really nice. She's gorgeous. I mean, I met her briefly. She probably had a boyfriend at that time, because I think she was talking to some guy when she was there. But she was like really pretty, and she was the person that, like, I never used her as an example to say that I was married to her or anything. You know, I mean, I'm sure she just didn't even think it was her that I was talking about, because I met her, maybe she did, but I met her very briefly, and she was gorgeous, like really, really pretty. Besides my bestie, who was also very, very gorgeous, she's like really, really gorgeous. Like I never really met anyone like that except for my bestie and her, right? And some other girls are really pretty too, but it is very rare to see like somebody that pretty. She was really, really pretty. But yes, I am bi, okay? I have dated both men and women. I've had acts with both men and women, alright? Um, like I said, the only reason why I said that I was married is because I've had, and the open relationship thing was so that I could date, right? Because I'm like, well, I am looking for someone, right? And so yeah, so it was just because I only mentioned her because, and I didn't mean her necessarily, I meant Jeylin, that might have been somebody else, but I obviously didn't want her to be affected. I'm sure she didn't even notice. She probably doesn't even know who I am. She just met me one night at the club. But yeah, and I wasn't referring to her necessarily. I was referring to a girl named Jeylin that was like January Jones, because she looks a lot like January Jones, which could have been somebody else, right? But we never married that girl, me and Jeylin. But yeah, the only reason why I mentioned it was because I've had so many, like I said, one person was like, just standing there, and I'm like, I'm single, but like I'm not interested, right? Like they just stay there for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm not interested, right? Like I am single, but and it was just so long, and I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna protect myself? I have a new channel coming out, and I want to talk about dating, but I want to have some kind of protection, right? Because I know if I say that I'm single, I'll get people that are just, and then not to say they're strange, some people just really like me, right? So I don't want to have anybody feel bad about it. But I just felt like I needed some kind of protection, right? But yes, and like I said, I have dated and had acts with both men and women. All right, and yes, so I have, I have had acts with both men and women. So I have dated both. Okay, so if you are looking to date me, I'm still bi. It's just I'm not married. All right. So maybe it'll make it easier for you to ask me out because you'll think, okay, well he's not married, so I can definitely go out with him because I don't worry about him having a partner, right? Anyway, thank you guys. All right, I feel so much better, guys. And it's not like a big deal. Like people lie about being married all the time. People that I know will say they're married. I knew this one girl that said she was married constantly, and she was like really, really pretty. But I think she just did it for the same reason. Because some guys will just stay there, and for me, it was a combination of both guys and girls that would just stay there and be like, well, you're single, so I'm just like, well, what does that mean? You know, I'm not gonna go out with you just because I'm single. I'm interested in a certain type, right? Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Um, and yes, guys, it was just something I wanted to say when I when I started a channel because I wanted to make sure I had that protection of being like in a relationship but still looking, right? So that people would be like, okay, I gotta not approach him too much because he is married. So if he says I'm not his type, I'll just leave him alone. So yeah, that's the only reason why I brought it up. Okay, guys. Thank you guys. Bye now.